facts. They said we couldn't, but we did anyway. Listen, I'm not wearing this hat to sell merch. It's because it's stupid humid outside. And when I tell you that my hair is not camera ready, believe it. In an 1897 article in London's National Review, British doctor A. Shadwell claimed to have been the first one to coin the phrase bicycle face. He discussed the dangers of bicycling, especially for women, describing how cycling as a fashionable craze has been attempted by people unfit for any exertion. Overexertion, the upright position on the wheel, and the unconscious effort to maintain one's balance tend to produce a wearied and exhausted bicycle face. Usually flushed, sometimes pale, often with lips more or less drawn, and the beginning of dark shadows under the eyes, and always with an expression of weariness. Lo and behold, this was not a real condition. In 1890s Europe and America, bicycles were seen by many as an instrument of feminism. We can't have that. They gave women increased mobility, began to redefine Victorian ideas about femininity, and led to dress reform movements, which aimed to reduce Victorian restrictions on clothing and undergarments so women could wear clothes that allowed them to engage in physical activities. Women had to follow a list of rules, 41 don'ts, for female cyclists, published in 1895 in the newspaper New York World. I shall read you a few of my favorites. Don't refuse assistance up a hill. Don't chew gum, exercise your jaws in private. Don't ask, what do you think of my bloomers? Don't use bicycle slang, leave that to the boys. Don't try to have every article of your attire match. Don't let your golden hair be hanging down your back. Problem solved. Don't scratch a match on the seat of your bloomers. Don't discuss bloomers with every man you know. Odd obsession with bloomers. Don't ignore the laws of the road because you are a woman. And don't scream if you meet a cow. If she sees you first, she will run. It's definitely going to have to be a two-parter. Women were once warned that too much education would damage their reproductive organs and lead to infertility. They were also told that studying could lead to mental disorders because women's brains were deemed too delicate for rigorous academic work. In Victorian times, it was thought that women shouldn't read newspapers because it was too intense. We were too delicate to handle it, so their husbands could share what they felt was appropriate. Novels, however, were suitable for women because they were seen as creatures of the imagination, of limited intellectual capacity, both frivolous and emotional. A dominant belief in the 1800s was that each human had a fixed amount of energy. If this energy was used for physical and intellectual tasks at the same time, it could be hazardous. Physical activity for a woman was thought to be especially hazardous because during menstruation, she was periodically weakened. Women were discouraged from participating in sports, with claims that physical exertion would make them more masculine, harm their reproductive organs, or render them unattractive. In the early 20th century, some believed that women were not biologically suited for driving because they were too emotional and lacked the necessary focus and spatial awareness. Many men thought women should be restricted to the slower electric car, which could only go 50 miles before needing to be recharged and was unable to manage steep hills because women don't need to go any further than that. Women soon demanded equal access to the more sturdy and challenging gasoline-fueled vehicle, much to the chagrin of many men. It's no child's play to run a motor car. No license should be granted to anyone under 18 and never to a woman, unless possibly for a car driven by electric power. In many cultures, women were restricted from traveling alone or without a male chaperone. This was justified by claims that women needed protection, from whom, and were incapable of handling the rigors or dangers of travel.